Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Chandrika and this is RIKA Life. Alright, I have a few things to share with you today. Sorry for all this mess. I just have I have yarn here for two projects. I have a whip here, finished projects, and then some yarn sitting up here just waiting for me. All of these are waiting for me, but I feel like the last few days since my last video, I have and have not been very productive. So I was making things for the sale at my son's school. And so the last thing I showed you were pumpkins. I haven't worked on that anymore. I've been making hats. I don't know why. I came across a pattern of like a ribbed hat, which is not worked top down, but just is made in a different way. And so I really wanted to try that. I did try that once in the past, but I didn't have enough yarn to finish it. And so I frogged it. This time around, I chose a yarn that I'm happy with, but the pattern that I used was for an extra large hat. So this is my hat that I made. And I know it doesn't look that big because I folded this up, but really this should only be folded up like maybe this much. So you can see how large of a hat this is. A very big hat. Anyways, the way this hat was constructed is you work in rows and you're doing half double crochets in the back loop only, and you keep doing that. This pattern called for 52 rows. That's just like, it would have been even bigger than this. So I didn't do that many rows. But basically you work across in half double crochets in the back loop only. And then you would bring the two sides together and stitch them together. So that's what this is. And then you kind of weave in and out the stitches to make that gather at the top. And then that's your hat. And then you just take it and you can like fold up the brim. And then, yeah, so I've like folded up the brim so much just to make it look like a regular size hat. I won't try it on right now because it's gonna mess up my hair, but that's the first of the kind that I made. So it's a sample and it's okay, right? The sample doesn't need to be perfect. It's a trial run. And so now I know what to do in the future. So I am actually making a second hat. This yarn is Big Twist Party. Big Twist Party, yes. Party yarn. I'll show it to you up close. It actually, the yarn itself is so nice. So squishy, so soft, and really warm. So it's a really good yarn. I used an I 5.5 millimeter hook. The only thing I would say about this yarn is that it's not wound very tightly. It's very, very loose. So you can see here, there is stitch definition, but like the yarn is not even wound together. It's just kind of like there. So I had some issues with that. This is not my first time using this yarn. I've used it before and I made a blanket, like a throw. So I do love the yarn, but not the pattern that I used. But I like the method. So I started another one. Now I'm using Big Twist Value in the color Cyan. So this is Cyan. Big Twist Value in Cyan. And for this, I'm also using an I 5.5 millimeter hook. And this is what I have so far. So I watched Lisa over at Happy to Hook Creations, and she had just made hats like this. So she was holding up the samples and I was like, oh, that's exactly what I'm making. So this is, she measured it for us and she said that it should be 10.5 inches tall and then about 16 inches wide. So I am using her specifications to make this one. And all I'm doing is I'm working in the back loop only and making half double crochets. So it's really weird because this is my first time trying to make a hat like this with it not being top down. And I feel like it's taking more time for some reason. I don't know. I've heard that you can make this hat in an hour and a half, but I don't know how true that is. When I first started on the first hat, the sides were not straight. So now I'm using stitch markers and now it is completely straight. So definitely use stitch markers if you're going to do a pattern like this. I think this is just called like a ribbed beanie. I'm not really sure of the name of the pattern, but now I didn't even count my chains on the first row. I just went up to 10.5 inches. So I am working on this now. I hope to finish this very soon and see how it compares to the first one that was gigantic. So I'm going to be working it up to 16 inches, and then I will fold it, crochet it together, slip stitch it together, and then do the thing at the top, and I'll see how this one comes out. I'm really hoping it comes out good because, so I have this color and then I have a couple other colors. So I have Big Twist Value in like hot pink, red, a slime color, so, and then this blue. So I have like really these like fun and happy colors, and I just wanted to make some and either take it to the sale at my son's school or then take it to the craft show that I'm doing at the end of November. So I'm not really sure why, but I'm just like into making hats right now these few days. So those are that hat. And then from my road trip that I went on, I was experimenting with a cotton bucket hat. Okay, and I did finish that, and this is what it looks like. This is Premier Hipster Cotton. I think this one's called Rainbow Roller Skates, and then this one down here is a different colorway. So this is 100% cotton, and this is the bucket hat pattern I followed. I feel like it's too large, so even like up this part is too large, and then the brim itself is too large. I'll just quickly show you what I mean. So I know I said I wasn't gonna wear a hat, but okay. So it's massive. Like, okay, hold on. Okay, now it's on me, but now I'm like hidden because there's so much flippity floppity happening here. And I feel like because it's cotton, so you can see how it's not bad at the back, but I feel like the front is like the front is like gigantic. So I would have made the top maybe a bit smaller so that it would sit up here, and then also I might have made the brim a bit differently. So that's that hat. And after this, so while I was on my weekend trip, I made more hats. So I was making just the crown, and we were visiting some friends, and so I ended up just making out of this color here at the bottom. I ended up making 2 hats for their daughters that we were visiting. So they had matching hats and they loved it, and I was like, hey, I can whip something out really quickly. I had all my supplies with me. I wove in the ends, everything. So I like this pattern, but I feel like it's too large and the brim is too floppy. So I'm not really sure how to do a granny square bucket hat with cotton yarn. I feel like if I made this with acrylic yarn, it would have turned out very differently. I'm realizing that it's not just so easy to go and pull out my cotton yarn and start creating with it, because cotton behaves differently than acrylic yarn, and I'm understanding that now. So it is a very nice yarn. It's very soft. It gives a great shape, but not in this part. So I kind of have like hat fails. That's like what today's video is like. These like 2 hats. Hat fails. There's going to be fails, right? Because we're creating, it's creativity. We're going to try and win and fail and lose, and you know, everything's not going to turn out perfectly. Just because I show you nice things doesn't mean that everything turns out perfectly. It most certainly does not. So that's why I wanted to share these things with you today, just so that you know that someone like me who's been crocheting for a decade also makes mistakes and has to frog things or makes gigantic things. So I like to follow the pattern. You know, when I find a new pattern and I've kind of watched it or skipped through it, I like to give that designer a chance and just try the pattern the way they're suggesting to do it to see what happens. And I feel like that's a learning process, and then I can understand what to modify for the next time. Okay, the other thing I want to show you today is something else I was making with cotton yarn because I was away for the weekend and then I had made those two hats, but my hands were still itching to stay busy. So I ended up making some more things. So I had this Hobby Lobby Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton Solids, okay? And this is the color Velvet Blush. It's like a very, very light pink color. I had gotten it on clearance, so it was originally $7.49. I got it for $1.87. It's 335 yards and it's 100% cotton. Recommends a 4.5 millimeter hook. So I had this, and I think I used my 5 millimeter hook, my H Susan Bates, and then I just started making a granny square. Okay, so I made this granny square and then I put it up against my daughter, and I was basically measuring her, the front of her, because I wanted to make a top for her. So this is one panel, and then I'm making the back panel, and then they're going to be put together. And then my plan is to have these both in this pink color, and then I have a very light, very, very light, like a mint green color. With that, I was thinking of making like thick straps, maybe like that thick on both sides. So the straps, and then to do a border at the bottom. So that's just something that honestly, it just like happened. I had that yarn. I had taken a whole bunch of cotton yarn with me, and I said, I have enough of this. Let me make something. Let's make a wearable for my daughter. So that's what I'm working on. I think I had counted and I might have had 12 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, I had 12 rows, and it was fitting her even like on the side. It was kind of like coming to the middle of her torso here. So I think it is wide enough. But of course, before I join them together, I'm planning to use stitch markers. So what I do, if you've never done this before, is basically I line it up together, okay? And then I will put stitch markers in the corner, and I'll literally put stitch markers like every 2 stitches so that it's completely lined up. And then I will have my daughter try it on for size. Only after that she's tried it on and we make sure it fits, then I will start seaming it together. I will not do it otherwise. So it's easier to do this for someone that's with you or that you can visit frequently and get them to try it on. I wouldn't suggest to make these kinds of tops on the fly for someone who's like across the country or in another part of the world. That's just my 2 cents. But yeah, so I'm making hats. I'm making this top for her, and I still need to start my crochet along, which is behind me. I've just been busy. I don't know where the time goes, honestly, with like taking care of my health and just taking care of the house. And I feel like the time, my hours in the day just go by so quickly. I'm trying to sleep at a decent time so I can get some good rest. And yeah, there's just lots happening, and it's a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments what you worked on today and what you're planning to work on this weekend. I would love to know. My plans for the weekend are likely to at least finish one of these hats, these ribbed beanie hats, and see how it turns out. And then I would like to continue on the toys, the keychains for the sale, the little pumpkin ones, these ones. I would like to work on that. I'm just I showed you this one, but yeah, I'm making an orange one as well. I'm making an orange pumpkin, so that's also the same idea as a ribbed beanie. This is what happens, right? It's really funny because this has happened to me many times where I start doing a certain stitch or a certain method, and then that's my next project. So I was doing this to make a pumpkin, and then lo and behold, I went and found a beanie pattern that has ribbing and is essentially the same thing. So I'm getting to practice the method or the technique for a project that I really want to do. This has happened to me many times, and I almost feel like it's a blessing where I get to practice my new skill. So, here I am doing half double crochets, and then I get to do it for a beanie that I'm actually making. So the skills are like transferable between projects, and I just feel like that's so nice. It's such a nice thing that comes out of crocheting. So, okay, I'm trying to motivate myself to finish the keychains. I've already finished the footballs. I've finished the flower keychains. I want to make at least 4 to 6 pumpkins, and then maybe one more item. So I'm either thinking dinos. I also saw some cute monsters. I might do monsters. Either dinos, monsters, donuts I feel like might be too much work. So I'm trying to see things I can just make quickly. So maybe dinos or monsters. Monsters might be faster. I just need to stitch on the eyes because I don't have the safety eyes. I would just be doing it with my yarn and with my yarn needle. Or I could also use my embroidery thread, but probably yarn. What else? I think that's it. I feel like I'm missing something that I was gonna make. There's I found patterns for heart keychains. My sale is one is at the end of October and one is at the end of November. So I'm trying to make things that would kind of be useful for both sales, but that's okay. So for now, I think I'm going to finish this hat, and then I'm going to try and finish the pumpkins. Then at least I'll have 3 items, and that sale is coming up. I think it's on the 25th of October. So October is already here. Happy fall, everyone. It's already October. Time is just flying by. So yeah, lots of things I shared with you today, and hopefully next week I can share with you some more finished objects. That would be really wonderful. So let me know what you're making today, what you're making on the weekend. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful time with your crocheting. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, I hope you have a wonderful crochetful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.